we have sorted out each of those components that make up our animation, we can save this, and we're just going to save it as a Photoshop file. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to make sure that there is a folder on my computer which is called perhaps Moving Image. That's what I've gone for. And then we've saved it in that document, making sure that the format is Photoshop. We're going to click Save. It's just asking me to replace because I've already saved it. Now that's done, what I can do is I can go to Adobe After Effects, open that up, and I'm just going to click on New Project, and that's going to open up the main space like we have with all of our Adobe programs. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my document. I'm going to drag and drop it in here, and I'm going to make sure that it says import kind is composition retained layer sizes. So we don't want it to change any of those small components, and it's going to say editable layer styles. So then I'm going to press OK, and then now it is there on the left hand side. I'm then going to double click. So this is kind of basically made a sort of file, a document together with all of those different layers, and I'm going to double click on that layer to open up my different layers. So on the left hand side here, you'll see all the different layers. You'll notice I've added a few new ones. I've added ones for the trees at the bottom left. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this fits to the screen. So if I go here where it says 25%, I can just click on Fit, and now that's the same size as my screen. There's a few things at the top here which we will sort of touch on. We won't touch on them too much, but essentially you've got your select tool, you've got your hand tool, you've got your zoom tool, and what we're also going to have a go at today is we're going to have a go at using the pen tool and also get our head around anchor points. So if I, on the left hand side here, if I want to just, for example, work with this guy, I can click and then drag to hide all these other elements. So I'm just left with this guy like that. I can then click on my sky layer. And what I want to do is I want to expand this sky and make it move from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And in order to do that, and I'm going to make sure that this all happens within, let's say, 16 seconds. That's as long as I'm going to make it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the sky layer here, and then where there's this little arrow, I'm going to click on that, and then it will show me these two different choices, and I'm going to go to click down on the transform, and you can choose essentially what you're doing in here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale this up nice and big, like so, and then I'm going to just move it into its first position. So to do that, you can, if you want to, just click on the image like that. Or the other thing is if you want to be really exact, you can move it from left and right this way or up and down on this number here. So I can click on that, I can start to drag that. And if that's dragging too slow, if you just hold down on Shift, it will speed things up for you. So I'm going to put it in its first position. Now that it's in its first position, what I want to do is I just want to click on this little timer tool here, and that will create its first anchor point. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see the anchor point turn up here like that. And then if I want it to move all the way to the left hand side, all the way until 16 seconds, what I can do is I can double click in here, make sure it says 16 seconds, so it will land, put the line straight on 16 seconds, and then I'm going to put in a new anchor point to its finishing position. So I could do it like this, so I can move this around again, and then I could hold down the Shift key until I'm in the last position that I want it to be in. So I'm going to say that's about the last position. You'll see that it's created a line. That line is basically telling you the motion in which it's taking all the way till that point. Yeah. I might choose also for it to go down as well. So I might change this as well. So it's going on an angle. So in a way, it's sort of actually from my drawing, it's darker at the top, like that, and that may be its last position. So if I now press the space bar, once it's gone past these last bits, it will then replay back to me the changes that I've made, the motion that I've made. Give it a second. There we go. So you'll see that now what I've done is I've created a background that moves like that. And if I just press the space bar again, I can pause it. If it will let me, is it going to do that? There we go. So, and I can also drag this line to sort of get a sense of how quick it is. And it's not going to, don't expect it to perform in the same way that it will in its final export. It might, I think if you go, where is it? There's an option here where you can sort of choose the resolution. So at the moment, the resolution is basically at its highest, which means that sometimes it's a little bit slow in its motion. But if you, I think this is it. So if I lower the resolution here, it will basically play a lot more smoothly. But when we've exported it, we won't have so much trouble. Let's wait for that to pause. Good. Now that we've done that, we've sorted out the sky, we can start to think about perhaps other elements. But if we just have a look, here's our layer on top. So we've now got this moving sky with our layer, and we just want to now sort out the other elements in our motion. So one thing I want to do is I just want to, for example, work on the person, the clothes and the beads and this big branch all in one go. So I'm going to select and hold down the shift key all the way down. So I've selected all those layers, and then I'm going to press Control and basically right click, and then basically click on pre-compose. And I'm going to call this, let's call this main subject, because this is the main subject of this work. I'm going to press OK. And what that will do is that will basically create a whole other sort of document with just those elements in it. So we can just work with those without making the mistake of making adjustments to our other layers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move this stick in a way where I'm going to use anchor points. So I'm going to bring, first of all, my line to the start again. I'm going to click on the person branch layer. Let's just open that up like that. Let's open that. Let's close transform actually. And then I'm going to use this little pin at the top, which is called the puppet position tool. And what this essentially does is it creates sort of joints where the motion will move. So if I'm going to click on there, I'm going to create a joint here, create a joint here, and then I'm going to create a joint at the top here, like that. And when I've done that, I'm then going to open up effects down here so I can have a look at those different puppet joint points. I'm going to open up mesh, and it should open up deform, and it will show me all of those different pinpoints. When I click on those different pinpoints, you'll notice that they get highlighted, they get filled in. So that one's there, and then this one is there. I want to move the third one. So if I open up again, it's already taken its first position. So now if I move it to, let's say that I want it to sway, the branch to sway every sort of 4 seconds. What I could do is I could again either drag this to the 4-second mark, or I can write in here 4 seconds, and then I'm going to click on that puppet pinpoint, and then I'm just going to move it to the left like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the 8-second point. So that now that that's done, it's created an anchor point. I'm going to change this to 8 seconds. And then I'm going to click on the pinpoint again, and I'm going to move it back again. So then it's created another anchor point here. So we've got an anchor point at the start, at 4 seconds, at 8 seconds. I'm going to do this again at 12 seconds. Oop. There we go. And I'm going to make it bend back again. I'm going to do it at 16 seconds. Bend it back to its final place. So now if I drag this all the way to the start again and press play, you can see that branch bending in the wind very slowly. And at the moment it's kind of stiff. The movement is not so smooth. So what we can do is, once I've paused it, we can right click on these different anchor points. So if I right click on this anchor point and then I go down to keyframe assistant, and then I can make it basically ease in and ease out. So I'm going to do that to all of these points. And you'll see here now that when it moves, and it's ever so slightly, this movement, but when it moves, it will slow down when it reaches that point and then speed up again, which is more like how it would move normally, instead of it being like reaching that keyframe point and then just quickly sort of shift into the next movement, very stiff. This is now sort of moving to that kind of normal motion. Good.